53 on the deliveries. And we're continuing from there. I think Mr. Moore was leading the all. Mr. Moore was leading the questions there. And I have to apologize. I've been constantly assisted by my advice for the simple reason that in the rush I left my glasses on the table, except if somebody can spare the reading glasses. Corona notwithstanding, I will use the sanitizer. Yeah? I can't use yours. It's on the that is one is. But in the meantime, I will manage, I think, for the time being. Honorable Rowe.
Yes. Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and good morning, everyone. I think we spoke on page 53. That is 7.4.1. That is the payment for food items not delivered. I think we've asked questions on this particular item, which is 70,000 10 liters, and it's confirmed by the Deputy Accountant General that 70,000 10 liters was paid for, but the delivery actually had 16,209. So we just want to make sure that that's actually correct. And I think it was about 75,300,000. So what that means is there is an undelivered item of 53,791. And from the extra document they gave us yesterday on the deliverable 7.4.1, the response they had here is the actual goods delivered was 51,209. Please refer to appendices. The difference yet to be accounted for is 18,791. So we are trying to understand which one is which. For the auditors, what they have, the difference is 53,000. And on their responses, whoever wrote it says it's 18,091. So we need to get clarification on that. Where exactly are we on this?
Honorable, which response are you referring to?
The additional document, the set of yesterday.
The one that they
Yes, yes.
I think that if we can, I think we have made it very clear that we are dealing with this. That was additional information that we can use when we decide to. So now, for the records, we are relying on this. Whatever they have, explanation or whatever is for them to liaise with the Office of the Auditor General.
So then we're going to go by what the Auditor General said on page 53, that there is a difference of 53,791 10-liter drops of oil. That was unaccounted for. And we need to have some explanation about this particular item.
Yes? Yes, please.
Yeah, good morning. I think before I start talking, I want to appeal for everyone for us to be wearing our face mask, because as public health guidelines, it's important that we wear face masks, especially the kind of room that we are occupying is not ventilated. All the windows are closed, air condition is blowing. It's very risky. We may have someone here who may have some underlying illnesses, and COVID is still real. You know, we want to exercise caution, because it's very important. I feel very uncomfortable coming from the Minister of Health and being with you, and in this way, that is not comfortable to me at all. Thank you. Yeah, because the TV is taking it, and the picture it may sense may not be very good. Yeah. I think what we said yesterday was that the stock was being managed by different people, because we had the army, that were involved, and the distributions along the chain. Some of them you have delivery notes, some of them delivery notes were difficult. So yes, I think that's what we realized. It's a documentation process, and the MDMA is working on it, to ensure that they regularize the documentation process to ensure that every stock that has been delivered is accounted for in terms of the documentation. That was the response that we provided yesterday. Thank you.
I think there's some bit of clarification they need to do further. This delivery item is not like the international community as far as it's going to take it outside the central location point. So what exactly is, is because the thing is, when you pay for an item, what is expected is, in fact, before you pay for an item, what is expected is for you to deliver, and then they pay. Right? So we asked the question yesterday to the Deputy Accountant General. He said they paid about 73 million plus. That was on the invoice, about 300,000 plus. And the delivery that they have for oil is 16,209. That's exactly what he said. So what this means is they paid for something that is not delivered. And there is no other documentation that they have right now to the auditors that actually shows that the 70,000 10-liter oil was delivered. That's exactly where we have from. And then again, when you look at the audit, when this was being done, and now, if it were just to sort out the documentation, I think you have enough time to sort out the documentation. Because now you're talking about almost more than 6 months ago or so. So for me, I don't know. I think there still needs to be more information on this. And secondly, Honorable Chair, I think they've mentioned about the army yesterday, yes. And it's going to be important that we understand who asked the army to come there, under whose command were they there, at the point of the yeah. So we would like to know exactly who the person was and who asked him to come over there.
Yeah, before you respond, can I?
No. To proceed with this, first, I think we should establish the factuality of the statistics given in the audit report. Let us establish that first. Is it true that you paid for 70,000 and only 16,200 were delivered? This is the first factuality that we must establish first and foremost before we proceed. This is what is questionable. You paid for 70,000 and only 16,000 was delivered. That's what it is. 16,000, yes. 209.
Let's just calm down. Let's get the question very clear so that we can get the answer. 70 was paid for, 16,000 delivered.
Yes.
And there's a difference of 53, according to the audit report. Yes.
Yes, I think the Deputy Accountant General can come up with the reports. But what we have here, what was not accounted for was 13,791.
Can you just take a response? If you think you can respond to that from your department.
Well, we're working as a team. So what I said is that what was not accounted for was 18,791. And then the Deputy Accountant General said he was going to look at the receipts. facilities they have been detached. Deliberately not. Deliberately not. Deliberately not.
No, let's follow the procedure. You have a microphone there, no?
The documentation we have here is, as mentioned, 16,209. So now, the documentation we have is 16,209. We will work in order to retrieve, it may have been detached. Because of, as you can see, the voucher. These are some attachments, and it is going through some processes as when you came to accountant general to see the stores and so
What's on the voucher? Just out of curiosity. No, just read it out.
16,209.
16,209.
Yes. On one sheet.
And that was what was paid for.
The full amount, the 70,000 will pay for.
You paid for 70,000. But what was delivered was 16,209.
As per the attached document.
As per the attached document. Yes. Honorable Bo, I think that's clear.
It's really clear.
You have to,
I'm fine.
but how did it come about? Because I think you paid for what you are receiving. You pay for what you are receiving. And in normal circumstances, you paid for 70,000. But unfortunately, when you are receiving, you are giving only 16,209. So I cannot understand that.
Yes, Mr. Gallo. Yes, Gallo.
Good morning. The way I understand it is that what the accountant general is trying to say here is that they paid for the whole 70,000 because for him, all the documentation for the 70,000 was available. That's why it was paid. So it may have happened that some of the attachments were lost, were detached. So that's what he said. So we are acknowledging that what the auditors saw, that's what they wrote, and that is right now what is in the documentation also. But then they will make sure they find out if those things were lost. But one of the explanations they have now for this situation is that they may have been detached. But when they are doing the payment, it was the full 70,000 documentation that was available to them at that time. I think that's what we are doing.
Yes. Anyway, I cannot understand that. For that sentence. No, I will accept.
Yes.
How is it possible? What he has is there. Now, then who must give him the person who must understand some of these losses? So that's what we do. Because I cannot give you something, but I think it is with you and you said it out. And then somebody come in again to say, maybe something must have to go wrong somewhere. And he's confused.
Yes, please.
Yes, good morning now. I think here maybe we should not confuse two things. That is, what was delivered versus the documentation. Documentation can have problems, but we should not have any doubt of what was actually delivered. I think that is what we need real confirmation on, and make sure that if the documentation had a problem, then that problem is addressed, but not to have any doubt on actually what was delivered, because that was what was procured. Thank you.
No, but before you come in,
Eddie, can you allow the vice chair first?
maybe we are not understanding what is written, but we are told that it is written here that you paid for 70,000. That's what you paid for, and that we expected you to have received. But we are told that instead of that, we received only 16,209. So if I understood you, Mr. Diallo, some documents were detached, which made it impossible for you to have the right in So, but when they queried, you should have reacted to the query by providing that evidence. And we didn't.
Yesterday, I think we clearly explained that they really never read them. They only saw it when they had access to this document in this report. They didn't saw them yesterday.
That's fine.
We'll come to you.
Yes.
After let Honorable Grammy
Yeah.
come on.
Assuming that maybe there is a missing document in delivery, assuming that, let's assume that's the case. But he's also saying that the only thing that was not delivered is 18,791. That's what he's saying. So that still confirms what we are saying, that payments were made and deliveries were not done properly. You know what I mean? Let's assume what he's saying is correct, that there's a missing voucher on the delivery. But he has also said that 18,791 is still not delivered. And that's what we want to confirm. Is that actually the case?
Our calculation, yes, that's the case.
Yes.
Yes.
What we've already paid them.
Yes, we've already paid them. Those are part of the missing documents that we have.
No.
I don't think payment is an issue here. Yes, Grammy. I think the issue is the delivery.
What I am saying, documentation is
Mr.
not available
Daraba.
yet, but it's not that it's not delivered.
Mr. Daraba, please. Thank you. Yes, Mr. Honorable
Yeah,
Grammy.
thank you very much. I think, Honorable Chair, this is the gravest finding so far. And if you will remember yesterday, we had a scenario, same. I disagree with the AG to say, let's not doubt what was delivered. What is the evidence of delivery? Is it delivery or not? So whatever other evidence is available, I don't think there is anything. So what could have shown us that they have delivered is it delivery or not? And as confirmed by the auditors, what they could see is 60. The remaining balance is a theory that it might be lost. What I'm saying is, let's close. They have accepted that they cannot, as of now, provide anything other than the 60,000 that was delivered. I'm saying let's close this and understand that there is pending delivery. And I'm suggesting, let's initiate action by writing to the police to investigate as soon as possible. Because going by this report, there is no other finding that purports corruption or mismanagement that is grave as this one. So I'm saying, let's initiate action rather than wait even to submit this to preliminary. This one is the most serious finding in this audit exercise.
And just to add on to what the Honorable Grammy has to say. Now look at the heading. The subtitle talks of delivery. Under deliveries, it is very specific that payment made for food items not delivered. That is from the auditor's report. And then his comment, the procurement of food items is the responsibility of the committee in which the NDMA is represented. Therefore, the minister should liaise with NDMA for the response. So as of now, as at the time this document was finalized, this was the status quo. But again, that is what we will take you, and then we'll move on. We will decide on what action to take as far as this is concerned. Otherwise, we'll just be going backwards and forward. Now, Governor, let's hear you and we'll proceed. Thank you.
Madam Chair,
yes.
I'll be very brief. I think this issue, we should not spend time on it, and it's not confusing. A businessman or a bidder was given a contract, and he is supposed to deliver at Makati Square. This is simple. Those who receive the goods at Makati Square, now it's been said there are missing documents. Let them go back and sign and come and present those documents. This is very simple. It should not confuse us. Just go back to your record. There are missing documents. You've accepted that there are missing quantities. So just ask for the committee to give you permission. You go back and check your record. That's the only solution. Otherwise, you'll spend tons of years here.
When this matter was raised by the auditor, that was the time we have been dealt with. It was not the time, not here that to be dealt with, so I've been dealt with.
I agree with you, Honorable. That's why I said those who were supposed to address that section of the report did not address it. So there has to be responsibilities to create, sir. That's what I am saying. I agree with you totally. So I am trying to say that let us not waste time on this. We have to know where we should take responsibility.
No, we are going to take a decision. The issues have been highlighted and made known to all the officers, so we will proceed. Yes.
We move to 7.5. 7.5.1 unprecedented payment vouchers. Review of the digital transaction list print out against payment vouchers. It revealed that payments amounting to 63,775,000 were made to various suppliers, but the payment vouchers related to these transactions have not been presented for our review. Here are shown. Implication. The payment vouchers not presented or audited cast doubt on the authenticity of the payment. In the absence of these documents, we could not compare the actual quantity procured against the planned quantities and assess that all appropriate controls have been carried out as intended. Response refers to AGD. Action taken, nothing. Officer responsible, nothing. Date when situation will be regularized, also nothing. Auditor's comment. The procurement of food items is the responsibility of the committee in which AGD is represented. Therefore, the ministers have liaised with AGD for response. So now the question is, so I think the question is why were these payment vouchers not presented for audit?
You want to respond to the question? Yes.
All the payment vouchers are available for the auditors to review.
Why were they not handed over. To the auditors at the time. No, let me finish my question. At the time, you are saying you have them now. We are not disputing that. But at the time of the audit exercise, why were they not handed over, especially when the query was raised? Let's try to answer that question first.
Once again, this report was previewed to us within the week.
Remember the time that
Yes, again, I want to reiterate the fact that the Accountant General's Department was not represented in this committee procuring food. And also, we were not aware of this report and we were never consulted to provide any response to the audit minutes.
Mr. Mani, I have a few questions.
Yes, ma'am. Just to look at what he is saying. Just like he said, if I go to their own document, refer to AGD. And now after spending time with the document, they say that it should be the committee's responsibility. You are saying that as auditors, they have more powers. Someone needs to come and answer to them, or they can audit any department. If we have called, as the chair, we have called the meeting to come and respond to this. And after calling, nobody came. We agreed with them, we permanently now. That we should go to this various agencies and we send the documents to the correspond. Now, if they are assuming here or saying that the AGD is a member of the committee, and so just referring again, bring it back to the chairman of the ministry, whereby, in fact, the assessors from they are not really part of this thing. So this has been their responsibility. And all this, not the NBMA, not the AGD, had any access to this thing. And then they come with their findings. Now, it doesn't give them the opportunity to present the comment. That's the situation.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I think now what we need to confirm on this particular transaction is on the payment voucher, who prepared the payment voucher and who authorized the payment voucher for AGD to pay. We need to know that. So whoever prepared it and authorized it should be the people that should give those documents to AGD. So let's find out who prepared the payment voucher and who authorized the payment voucher for payment. No, because one yes.
I think one thing, for me, between me and God, I will not sit here and hear certain things and keep quiet. I will say the truth. To be fair to the auditors, when they finished, I said he is here yesterday or day before yesterday. They sent this thing to the Secretariat, and that is the Ministry of Trade. We met there. I remember I was there. MD was there. DPS was there. I think the procurement officer was there. I remember Mood Sisi, Director General Internal Audit, was there. And that's where some of the issues that we remember as committee members we could address. We talked about it, and we said to the Secretariat, since we did not get all the members here, send this report to those people for them to respond. I said this here, I think 2 or 3, this is the time I am saying it. So I want to be fair to the auditors and the committee members that took responsibility. I want to be fair to them, and the rest is to your committee. And I think we are all patriotic citizens, God-fearing, and we will do justice to this document. This is what I can see. But let's not apportion blame and take it to where it doesn't belong. Thank you.
But obviously, if something has gone wrong, somebody should be responsible, or some people should be responsible for that. And we cannot absorb them of responsibility.
That's what I just said. I said, that the auditors did their job and they sent it to management. And management will met over it. And those who were there, that is not their area. And that's why those who were present said to the secretariat, there is a chairman and there is a secretariat, and that is the Ministry of Trade. And it was agreed at that meeting that send it to the various places that need to respond to this. That's what I'm trying to clarify to the committee. Because I was there on
They have to send it.
well, that now is not, I cannot go beyond that. Because I did not know that that's what everybody is saying now, that they saw this thing when they got here on Tuesday. And I also saw the final copy when I got here on Tuesday. And I said, I was shocked that these issues were not addressed. Because when I called the secretariat, did you send these things to the various people and did you send the document back to the auditors? I spoke to either. And he said yes. I spoke to Dahaba. I said, did you respond to the auditors' queries? He said yes. Did you send it back to the auditors? They said yes. Because the reason why I'm taking that responsibility, I am no more permanent secretary, Minister of Finance. I'm at the Central Bank. But this is a committee, and I was the permanent secretary there. This is government money that went out, and we all worked hard. At the end of the day, we should continue to do our individual responsibilities so that collectively, when you put it together, the document is complete. But those who were there on that day, that material time, cannot respond to this. They are not accountant general, they are not NDMA, they are not trade, they are not whoever needs to do it. What I need to do as permanent secretary, that the audit report is that.
Can I just come in and correct me if I am wrong? Because if I remember, a couple of days back, you confirmed to this committee that this document was delivered to you. But that's what I said. No, but who said that they he said yes. Well, that's fine, that's what I would do. This way is order, okay, very well.
Yeah, it is true that the governor has confirmed that. It's a written rule that it is the responsibility of auditees to provide information. When you are being audited, it is not the responsibility of the auditors to fish out information outside, especially third parties. It is your responsibility as the auditee to provide anything that they request for. It is your responsibility to provide. So you can't refer them to say, go to this, so and fish. If you should fetch out those evidences and provide them to them, and they will do their. It's good that he has clarified and it's not going away from responsibility. It was the responsibility of the secretary to provide everything that the auditors request.
Thank you very much. Honorable, can we move, please? Can we?
Yes. We move into 7.5.2. That is page 55 on settled contract obligation for labor contract. Finally, our review of the contract document of Fast Lane Logistics against payment vouchers revealed that Fast Logistics had been contracted for the distribution of food items at a cost of $8,587,525. Although the service was fully executed, there is an outstanding balance of $4,293,762 due to them. No evidence of completion of the said balance is provided for our review. The implication: there is a risk that the unsettled balance might lead to conflict between the responsible party and the said transport. Response from management just says, however, the NDMA has referred the said payment to internal audit department. Action to be taken, nothing. Officer responsible for remedial action, nothing. Date when situation will be regularized, also nothing. Auditor's comment. The evidence of settlement with regard to this outstanding balance is not provided for our review until the date of the finalization of this monetary letter. So the question is, why was Fast Lane Logistics not paid in full when they have executed the contract? And the internal audit department they're talking about, which one is it? Is it the one at the Ministry of Trade, or is it the one at the Ministry of Finance, or is it the one at the NDA?
Yes, you want to come on board, or is it Mr. Dava?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, it's the internal audit. Minister of Finance. Minister of Finance. Director General. Yeah, they are the one doing the verification before they establish that there is a balance to pay. They have been assigned to do the full verification of the payment and establish the outstanding balance for payment.
May I state that this is actually what should have happened to the 70,000 oil rebate. Before payment, it should have been verified that what was paid, what is the voucher-based matches with quantity delivered. And I'm saying, why is it in this case taking several months? Still with it, because I was expecting that the revised response would say now settled. This was 6 months, 7, 8 months ago, and still the internal audit is yet to verify this with the associated risk, because we know how Gambia is now. They can resort to court, and then if it has associated damages, bad name for the government. So I think it's something that they need to expedite and try to settle.
All right, we move to 7.5.3. Cost
Very
of
fast to the page.
5.6. Yeah. 7.5.3. Cost of transportation wrongfully charged to government. According to the contract awarded to all suppliers, delivery of food items to the assembly centers is the responsibility of the suppliers. However, we noted that the government was charged additional costs to deliver food items from the supplier stores to the assembly centers. A payment of $1,004,800 was made to the Jagana brothers in June 2020 for the transportation of food items from Quebec to Banjul, which should have been borne by the supplier. Implication: government incurring costs of transporting food items from suppliers to the assembly center is a violation of the contract agreement and resulted in non-compliance with value monitoring. This also represents double payment. Management response referred to NDA. Action taking, nothing. Officer responsible, nothing. Did. When situation was regularized, also nothing. Auditors comment. The procurement of food items is the responsibility of the committee in which NDMA is represented. Therefore, the ministry is replaced with NDMA authority.
Yesterday, somebody raised the issue of the contract, whether it was a clause in the contract that transportation should be at cost of the supplier, or I think you raised it for Dramit. I think it's something that
similar. I just stated that usually it is the responsibility of the.
it depends on the terms.
Not the terms. Usually, when you say it's a contract for them to supply, and it should be included in the price. Every other associated cost should be included in the price. Then when they should be one. That's what I said.
Can you create a scenario whereby can be specified to be the reverse? That the transportation is at the cost of the.
It can happen, but I think it will be very peculiar.
It's not normal.
It's not normal.
We are clearly saying that
And maybe that's the reason why the cost of rice in Banjul is different from the cost of rice in Pasay or Farafenni or wherever. Yes, please.
Thank you so much. The cost of transport is there, but only to the assembling point. And stadium was one of the assembling points. Because we agreed that probably there may be suppliers that will be in KFC. Instead of transporting the only way to Banjul, they will present it at the Independence Stadium. But at some point, because of security reasons, those suppliers that were supplied at the Independence Stadium were later moved to Magat Square, for security reasons. For security personnel were deployed at Magat Square to secure the supplies that were there. Thank you.
I think this is what we keep on saying. These things should have been made very clear to the auditors at the time. And I'm sure they would have included it in their report. But this is something coming out now.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes. I think you must have specified the suppliers. The point. You must have specified to the suppliers the point at which you wanted them to bring the goods. That was the responsibility. And it was their responsibility to bear the cost, because money is included in the price. That's what we are talking about. We are not talking about transporting from where you are taking it to the beneficiaries. There's another transportation. So we are not confusing the two.
No, if you look at the audit,
If I got him right,
yes.
What he did say was that from Independence Stadium, you had to transport it to Banjul, and that was not part of the initial arrangement.
Yeah.
Now, my question is that you knew that had happened. At the time of the audit exercise, why did you not bring it up to the auditors, especially when they raised the query? That is my question.
Let me help you.
No, let's clarify.
Yes, ma'am. I
want
will.
to clarify.
And I want to make sure that we are able to finish at two. What I want to ask from my colleagues here, yes, this thing like the chair is saying, is very simple. We know who is responsible for what. When they ask, let's allow those people to respond, because this belongs to NDA. When they were taking the decision to move it from stadium to Makati Square, you were not there. You don't understand. You cannot say. So allow the people who took the decision to explain. It makes it simple for everybody. But we don't waste time. Please go ahead. Because you'll be talking about something you don't know.
Yes, like Pierce was saying, that the agreement with the contractor was to deliver it to Independence Stadium. That was what was contracted. And then when he delivered it at Independence Stadium, we contacted the Bakau Army and they said they cannot be responsible for that. Because of security reasons, we decided that we move the stock again. He fulfilled his contract by delivering it to the assembly point, which was at the stadium. We moved it to Makati Square for security reasons. This was it.
Yeah, and the same question that I posed to you was, why did you not indicate that to the auditors at the time?
I told you, I'm seeing this report for the first time. When they said, refer it to MPMA, it was not referred to me. How do I answer? Even if the question was not referred to me.
I will not say you. I will refer to the NDMA.
Yes.
And I think reference should be to FPAC and not directly to Mariam Denton, for instance. Now, my question still is, NDMA was part of the committee.
Yes.
Right? Am I right?
Yes.
Yes. Now, why did NDMA not specify, or the committee, to the auditors that look, NDMA had a problem when there was a security risk leaving the items at the stadium, and that was why it was decided to transport them to the Makati Square for security reasons, and obviously that incurred extra costs. I'm sure they would have included that in there. I'm always assisted and guided by my auditors. Yeah, and that would have been from part of management response. And then now scrutinizing it here as FPAC, you will say, this is the reason then. Or even before that, I think the comment from the Auditor General would probably have been different. It would have been.
Sorry. Maybe let me just clarify one thing. I think we are talking of two different things. What the auditors are claiming is not from Stadium Makati. It's from GPEX. Their warehouses to Banjul. So they are talking of two separate scenarios. What the auditors are querying is, I'm contracted to deliver at Banjul. I charge for transportation from GPEX, where my warehouse is, to Banjul, not delivering it to Stadium and then pick it up again and deliver it to Banjul. These are two different scenarios.
I think that was a mistake. There was nothing from GPEX to Banjul. What I knew was there was stock from Independent Stadium to Banjul. That was what the decision was based on.
Yeah, but let's not waste time on this. Let's clarify one thing.
But yeah, we have what we want. No, but I think it's less honorable. Honorable some minority leader, otherwise we proceed.
Yes, I just have a follow-up. Yes. I wanted to know this, what was the nature of this? Was it oil or rice? Then the other issue is, what was the quantity? The quantity.
As of now, I will not be able to establish that until I go back to the records. This was something that I will not be able to establish until I go back to the records.
So was it rice or oil?
Well, I said, I will can only establish that once I go back to the records.
All right.
We need to move, huh?
Yeah, page 57, 7.5.4, transportation cost to LRR. Finding. From the review of the invoice number 00025 sent by Jagaram Dollars dated 8 May 2020, we noted the quantity of oil transported from LRR Governor's Office to the respective DP, assuming distribution point, is more than the quantity transported from Makati Square to Governor's Office by 25 tons. That is 151.84 minus 126.84 tons. And the price paid was dependent on tons transferred to the distribution point. Implication: the transporter might be paid more than what they have transported, leading to a waste of public resources. Response: NDMA. Officer taken in nothing, officer responsible nothing, did nothing. Auditor's comment: the procurement of food items is the responsibility of the committee in which NDMA is represented. Therefore, the ministry should liaise with NDMA for response. Yes, maybe. Yeah, we are for his response.
Okay, this is an issue of internal stock movement. Thus, we are making consultation to put all documentation in place. Because the same people who transported this thing to LRR, they are asked the same concern to take it to distribution points. It's an issue of internal stock movement.
Yes.
Page 58, which is 7.5.5. From the review of the COVID-19 aid procurement supporting documents attached to the payment vouchers, we noted that none of the payments were supported with receipts. Implication: without receipts, we might not know if the right supplier were paid or paid with the right amount. Furthermore, it will be difficult to ascertain the authenticity of the transaction. Response: the observations are noted, as we are aware that government and central bank new payment method for any payment above 100,000 is an automatic bank transfer. However, the economy has not received for such payments. Action to be taken nothing, date when to be done, regularized withdrawal. So regardless of the method of payment used, all payments should be supported with receipts from the payee to acknowledge the receipt of the amount paid.
Any reaction to this?
Mr. Chair, for some time now, all payments from the Accountant General's Department are automated bank to bank. So we do not issue checks, and we do not ask beneficiaries to come and collect payments from the AG department. So once the payments are processed, we issue instructions automatically to central bank to debit government account and credit beneficiary account. And there is enough evidence to prove the recipient. You know, we have the debit memo, and they have details showing which government account was debited and which beneficiary account was credited at what bank. So as far as we are concerned, that is sufficient receipt for government and sufficient confirmation that the beneficiary has received the payment. We never received any query that beneficiaries have not received the payments that have been processed. And that information is available.
It's reassuring, the process is really reassuring, but that's not what the Public Finance Act says. It requires receipt. Unless it is amended, I think we need to comply, regardless of the measures, control measures taken in this section. With these requirements, by this Public Finance Act should be adhered to at all times.
Can we continue?
Huh?
Can we continue?
You want to say something?
No, I just want to continue from 8.1.
What?
Because we have adjusted left side of the question. Now that's page 60. Can we go to page 60? Identification of households. Now here the finding is saying, just to be precise, because I think all of us have people, so I cannot just speak on but just to be precise. Now the finding is asking that, and the auditor said that we also noted that no criteria exists to identify the vulnerable households, as no evidence was provided to show the basis of identifying vulnerable households. Okay? Now if you go to page 61, from the management response, the Ministry of Land sent a request to the BCC and KMC mayors or mayor for a list of vulnerable households for the distribution government fully with a template indicate the criteria for the selection. After receiving the list from BCC, the data officer ran it on a system created and realized that some of the households heads on the list are civil servants, police and businessmen. The list was sent back to the mayor for removing those not vulnerable, but said he cannot do such a task and the team had no option but to remove those households that based on his guide are not vulnerable. kindly find a time in the email for reference. These are some of the extracts from the email sent. Actions to be taken, non-officer responsible for remedial action on aid situation regularized. No, nothing said about that. Now, auditors comment. The response given does not address the finding because the criteria mentioned in our finding and in the management response is not presented for our review. Our finding is not about the selection of vulnerable households, but the criteria used during the selection process. So the question is, why were food items distributed to some PPs without informing the regional coordinators and food items transported to LRL in the absence of the logistics?
Thank you, Chairman. I think the explanation, our management response, we still maintain that our position because it's very clear. The correspondence is between us and mayors because this data, we just develop the criteria and send it to them because Banjul and KM, we need to do targeting. And we don't have any medium, but we agreed as a committee on a set of criteria, and this criteria is communicated. And we need to start the response. The mayors will say that she can disqualify anybody in her capacity with the criteria in front of her. But the data that we receive, the criteria that should eliminate some individuals, we saw their professions, as civil servant or people working. So automatically, if they cannot do what we do, we have to go through the data set and then eliminate those people. And these communications, everything between us and the mayors via emails are all available, and we mentioned. So if the auditors are not satisfied with that response, we have no other response that we can provide to the auditors because these are clear standards. And then the vulnerability is our responsibility to determine or identify the set of criteria that will determine the vulnerability of a household, but not the role of the auditors.
I think the problem is identification of household is part and parcel of general assessment of needs. So this for me is indicating the fact that that work was not done properly. And that's why what had happened has happened. If it was done properly, people who were vulnerable would have been identified to be catered for. And because that was not done, it was delegated to people who were indifferent. And so you couldn't get what you wanted.
Okay, Chairman, and we all knew there is no social registry in this country available. Up to date, the process is not finalized. There is no social registry data that will indicate whether Honorable Sidia is a vulnerable household within Banjul. We don't have that system in this country. When the time of COVID-19 it comes, we have to use reference materials, and this is why when you say assessment, there is no possibility at that time for us to do physical assessment that will take us 4 months minimum with huge amount of money to do a physical assessment across the country. What we do in statistics, we have to use what we call random sampling, stratified sampling, and these are the methods we use to determine and do an estimation because we have the base data that will inform our decision in terms of the number of people expected to have these food items. So at that time, there is no possibility that we can able to go to each household to know who is vulnerable. And the system what we develop is working with the local authorities because Like the Mandinka says, you cannot know Kudang more than Lam Kudang. And there is no possibility. There is no possibility. We at NDMA, from Jamanjali, I don't know anybody in Banjul. I don't even know the state. For me to identify who is vulnerable in Banjul. So what we do, we transfer the responsibility to the communities, the local authorities who know their own people. So if they don't want to take the responsibility as government and as an agency responsible for humanitarian assistance, we have to develop tools and guidelines. If they don't accept them, we have to forge ahead because we are running against time.
Yes, okay, but let me tell you, I don't agree with you on the program. You can write a book, and a critic would understand your book better than yourself. And that's why we have critics who analyze books beyond what the author himself had imagined. So Lamkulam can.
I think, in fact, his response as of now is totally different from what the auditors are doing. The auditors are not saying they know Kudan. They're asking for the criteria used in selecting. That's all they were asking. What were the criteria you were using to identify who was vulnerable and who was not? And in fact, they had claimed to have provided this long response. They are saying the emails. The auditors are saying they did not show us those emails. That's exactly what they were saying. So now today, what we just want to say is the evidence available. Can you
Of course, yes.
That's all.
Yes.
The criteria is available, the evidence is available.
Since, yes.
Then that would also reveal our frustration. It could have been provided
It has
earlier,
been
then
provided.
it would not be
It
here.
has been.
The image is clear.
It has been provided since we find it.
Okay, you proceed.
So can we proceed to 8.1? Can we proceed to the same page 8.1, inadequate coordination? The findings of the auditors says communication with the regional coordinators revealed that some DPS or that their supervision were supplied food items before they were informed about the start of the distribution process. They indicated that they were only informed after the food items were sent to the DPS. Yes, that's the distribution point. And then management, the response from the management was, it could be recalled that the process sensitization and operationalization went round the country and all regions and to all governors, regional coordinators, alcalos, teams, and of course the DAB committees were all duly sensitized. The identification of DPS, of course, the coordinators being members of the DAG committee, which is chaired by the regional governors. Also taken. Now, auditors comment. The management response is about the planning process, but not the execution of the distribution process. That is, the transportation of food items from Makati Square to distribution points. So here also why we have food items distributed to these points without informing the regional coordinators and food items as well. And what is TAG?
No, TAC, Technical Advisory Committee.
Technical
Advisory Committee.
and we have
TAG.
okay, TAG. Here
Well, sometimes there's a technical advisory group. It depends on how you go.
okay, yes. Okay. So can we hear from you?
Yes, I think I can be able to say something on this.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, this was due to a logistical constraint that was subsequently addressed. This concern include but not limited to late payment of transporters, the delivery to the distribution point, and ongoing data collection during distribution of the returns.
Yes. Yeah, what I cannot understand is, as I said, I think you said you are going to go by this. But now the answer that we are getting from him is that of just percent. So are we going to put this there in this report or what? Because right now, that's what I don't understand. Because if I repeat that what you are saying, you are giving them to the auditors. Right now things are finished. It means your house was not in order for the
I repeated this 100 times. It was a breakdown of communication that we accept. That's why we are here. It was a breakdown of communication.
okay.
However, he's answering the question that you are asking. So it's legitimate. The answer is legitimate. He's answering your question.
But what I'm saying, I'm not saying the answer to the question is not correct, but what I'm saying, it is not commensurate with what I have here. As I'm reading.
No, I don't think that. I should have answered that.
Yes. You want to supplement the answer? Okay. Is okay? All right. Can we proceed?
Yeah.
Eight, 1, 2.
Yeah, okay, no permission of
Can we proceed?
yeah, it's
The finding is that during the audit, the auditors requested and reviewed the delivery notes raised during the food aid distribution by the logistics officer. However, the delivery notes from McCarthy Square to LRR were not provided for our review. Management response was that when the dispatch of the rice, oil, and sugar from McCarthy Square to LRR was felt to LRR, was a subject beyond the process monitoring team. Hence, the decision came from the central level. We do not have control over. By then, the completed data collection from the regional government office was not available. My question would be just, why was this so? Why were delivery notes for LRR not presented?
As far as I'm concerned, delivery notes from LRR base to the LRR degrees are all available.
Now available.
Yes.
But even this equality, I come back to this issue, the first issue that we raised here when we came here. Now they are telling us the decision was so relaxed.
That's what
And there was a structure that was supposed to have been a structure responsible for this in practical terms, not somebody in heaven making decisions for that structure to do what it was supposed to do. So that was a problem.
Yeah. What I would want the executive director to just clarify, what I just did not understand the response. What were they trying to explain by stating it was not beyond their control? Can they just narrate the scenario as a death? So
the scenario was that we were told that in fact that was why we started with LRR. We got information that their data set were completed, when in the actual fact, when we dispatched this food, their data sets were not completed. We asked them to bring all the files from LRR, and then I have appointed data clerks to input this data. That was why we said it was actually beyond our control.
Meaning you were forced to deliver?
No, we were not forced. We got information. But they tell us that their data sets were ready. Then actually, that was why we dispatched the food to LRR. We realized that their data sets were not ready. I asked them to bring all their information to the head office so that we can analyze and input it in the system.
Now what
we are not forced.
What I want to understand is, because that's not what is being insinuated here. It says it's coming from the central level, meaning a higher authority is telling you, Rosa, do this.
Central level would be me. So,
no, it's not you.
I made the decision. So, central level would be me. So,
with due respect, it's not you. When you say it was beyond, was a subject beyond the monitoring team.
The monitoring team is under me.
Yes.
So, it must have been me who made that decision.
Then he is taking responsibility for giving false information.
No, that's not false information. Because I appointed 5 directors to analyze this and put it in the office.
I think what is implied here is that it was decision beyond you. It was not made by you, but by somebody else above you. That was implied in the text anyway.
Well, who must have done this must also imply that they are referring to me.
Really?
No, yeah. CEO, please just clear yourself out. This no be on. You just want to make this one.
I took the decision, and that's why when the data sets were ready, when the data sets were ready, I said, start it with LRR. Because that information, they are all, my team is here, when the LRR, they brought all the data to the office for us to analyze it.
Can I just say this? I think the way we talk to each other should be very. There should be some respect in the way we speak to each other. And those of you who are here as witnesses, consider yourself as if you were in a high court. The way you would speak in a high court is the same way you should speak here. The way a high court would have reprimanded you, the same way we can reprimand you. So I think people should know how to address. We should, I mean, not only you, but all of us, we should know how to address each other when we are doing this. We must bear in mind that we have a common interest. We are all interested to build a Gambia worth living in. We see that is our collective responsibility. We are complementary in what we are doing. What we are doing cannot be complete without us. We cannot do unless we do something. So that we must understand. We are not enemies. We are not fighting. Me, I'm not fighting anybody. This committee is not a block of soldiers fighting you. And don't see yourself as a squad also fighting against us. You must see each other as people involved in making decisions that will promote the well-being of the people of this country. That's what we are about here. And we must do that with all the respect that is necessary. Otherwise, we'll become angry unnecessarily. And once somebody is angry, he or she should just go out. Because when you do anything with anger, it is never correct. So thank you. Who was Honorable Jan, you wanted to say something?
No, I think you have said what I wanted to say. What I'm saying now is that I think he's made our job easy by stating clearly that he's the one responsible. So whatever we need to know now, he can certify that.
Yes, in a way we have solved our problem. Yes.
I just want to add on something because all along we have been talking about the governors, Ministry of Lands and Local Government. But and I had here also the auditors. They mentioned that key stakeholders were the people that they were interested in, NDMA, Ministry of Trade, Finance and so forth. But Ministry of Lands and Local Government, they are key stakeholders because they were the ones who went to achieve the alcalos and collected data. I want to understand if they have to take any action to ask the Ministry of Lands and Regional Affairs whether they have provided that those data on time.
Yeah, I think we need to make finish this. Yeah. May I speak, please?
I think it's time you speak.
May I speak, please?
Yes,
yeah.
please.
Thank you very much for giving me. I think we need to make progress. Otherwise, we are not going to finish this. And really, today is Saturday. I should have been at somebody other place rather than come here. Essentially, I think I said there. I'm going to repeat it again. You had three key institutions that were responsible for these things. That is the Ministry of Trade, Ministry of Health, and NDMA. The first part that we have completed, everything that is said there on the management response is said by the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Trade. That's what he was the one speaking. This one is NDMA. Like he said, he's the one speaking. This last paragraph, he is saying whatever is in the management response. Nobody else. And when we go to health, whoever is the PS Health that is speaking. Whatever is in the management is what he said to us. And that is it. I think we should review these things on that basis and proceed. Otherwise, we are not going to finish this. Okay. Go to, how do you call it, Mansajang, that's not our business. Our contract person is the PS Trade for procurement. For distribution is the NDMA, how do you call it, Executive Director. And for health procurement, that is the PS Health. That's how it is. And these are our first contact persons. We go to them for whatever we need. And they supply. I think that's how we need to proceed. Thank you.
Do you still have something to say?
Yes. The reason why I'm saying Ministry of Local Government, because I have seen in most of the issues, they are talking about NDMA, and it's about data. And the data collection was not the responsibility of NDMA. It was the responsibility of the Ministry of Lands to use the governors, the alcalos, and to go to the communities and collect data. So if you are saying the key members in NDMA, trade and so forth, and you are excluding those who are collecting the data, now the questions of collecting data, you are pushing into NDMA. This is my problem.
I think the other thing has said, and I think I mentioned it earlier. Why the NDMA? NDMA did not collect the data, we all understand. But they use data. What the auditors are interested in, the data that you use. So you cannot refer me to go back to where I got it. Here is the information I use. It's readily available here. You don't have to source that document again. It's like telling me, when we did in this assessment, we used statistics from GWAS. Go back to GWAS and what data did you use? That would be my own data if I go and collect data. I needed the data that you use to distribute. So that's exactly what they are. And I think that has been clear. We should not be going back and forth. That would be 8.1.4. Discrepancy between both items procured and deliveries made to DPs. A review of the procurement file and the payment vouchers against the logistics officer's data and regional coordinator's report revealed that the total number of food items procured was less than the total quantity transported to the DPs. And that's it. Management response was, I think the procurement of the goods were placed in the hands of the central level committee and the Ministry of Trade. At some point during the distribution process, the Kobo collect, that must have been the system, was not used to record receipt at distribution centers. As a result, the actual and will be higher than that in the system. In many places, when the rainy season was approaching, manual recordings was used to fast-track the distribution process. The auditor's comment: NDMA was represented in the committee and also stamped and signed suppliers' delivery notes before payments are made. The 𝐾oBo software should always be used to record issue of food items to beneficiaries, as this was a software developed to help maintain accurate data. Even if manual recordings were used to fast-track the activity, the 𝐾oBo system should have been updated to reflect all the activities that took place. There must be an audit trail so that food items can be traced through procurement, distribution to final delivery to the beneficiary. Without such a trail, it is impossible to ensure that items are used for the intended purpose. Why were these shortages? Can you explain what may have caused an update?
Yes.
Procedure here. Those words there are your ears. They don't speak. They provide you whatever data you need to speak. So if you don't have anything to say, provide it to your and you will see will be speaking.
But in terms of data, that's why I asked you. It's okay, I can.
You are the witness. They are not witnesses.
It's okay. It's all right. That's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
Need time, just a couple of minutes, 1 minute, 2 minutes to be briefed on this. You can allow me.
Yes, yes. That's acceptable.
Okay. 8.2.4. Delivery notes not stamped by the consignees. Stamping of delivery notes by consignee was not a requirement.
Can you check where we are? We are
8.1.4.
Discrepancy between food items procured and deliveries based on distribution points. Maybe your age should sit next to you, just behind you. I think we need to fast track this. So probably not being out of order, for us just to allow, clarify.